The morning she said she needed a husband by tomorrow felt like a storm breaking without warning. The kind that darkens the sky while the air is still warm and calm. The kind that makes you realize life can change before you even brace yourself. I stood there frozen, holding a chipped coffee mug in my hand, watching the way desperation sat on her shoulders like a heavy coat she could no longer take off. And I knew in that instant that whatever came next would alter both of our lives forever. Before this story pulls you deeper, take a second and show some love to the channel. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and unexpected turns of fate, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more real, heart-touching stories like this one. Her name was Rebecca Collins, a woman whose smile looked practiced but whose eyes betrayed exhaustion. We were standing on my small rental property outside Cedar Ridge, a quiet farming town tucked between rolling fields in the Midwest of the United States. I had moved there years earlier after my life cracked apart in ways I never talked about, choosing isolation because it felt safer than hope. Rebecca had come to the farm because she was running out of places to go. She had grown up nearby, left for college, married young, and come back years later with nothing but a battered suitcase and a secret she had been carrying alone. By the time she stood in front of me, her voice trembling as she explained her situation, I realized she was standing on the edge of losing everything that still mattered to her. The truth was harsh and painfully simple. Rebecca was about to lose custody of her late sister's 2 children, Noah and Grace, because the court demanded stability she could not prove she had. Her sister had died suddenly, leaving behind chaos, debt, and 2 frightened kids who had already lost too much. Rebecca worked 2 jobs, cleaned houses at dawn, waited tables at night, and still it was not enough. The judge had made it clear that without a stable household, the children would be placed into foster care. Somewhere along the way, a cruel suggestion had turned into a desperate plan. A married household, they said, looked more secure. A husband meant stability. And so she had come to me, the quiet man with land, a steady job repairing agricultural equipment, and a reputation for keeping to himself. I was not a hero, and I was not brave. I was a man still nursing wounds from a past that had taught me love could leave scars deeper than loneliness ever did. My name is Matthew Turner, and years before Rebecca showed up, I had buried a marriage and a dream in the same season. My wife, Hannah, had left not with anger but with silence, taking with her the future I had imagined and leaving behind an echo that never quite faded. Since then, I lived simply, believing I was done with anything that required my heart. Yet as Rebecca spoke, something old and dangerous stirred inside me. A reminder that sometimes the right thing feels terrifying because it costs more than comfort. I told her the truth without ceremony. If she wanted this to work, she would have to live at my place. The farmhouse was modest but solid, the land paid for, the routine steady. I explained the expectations in plain terms, not as a contract but as a boundary. This would be about survival, not romance. She nodded with relief and fear tangled together, and within 24 hours, her life collided with mine in ways neither of us had planned. Living together felt like learning a new language under pressure. The kids arrived first, carrying plastic bags filled with clothes that no longer fit and eyes that watched everything with quiet suspicion. Noah barely spoke, his shoulders hunched like he was bracing for another loss. Grace clung to Rebecca's hand, asking questions she already knew the answers to. I watched from a distance at first, unsure how to exist in a space suddenly filled with bedtime routines, cereal spills, and the soft chaos of children who needed reassurance more than words could provide. At night, after everyone slept, I sat alone on the porch listening to crickets and wondering if I had just made the biggest mistake of my life. The community noticed quickly. In small towns, silence is louder than confession. People waved differently, asked careful questions, and drew conclusions without ever speaking them aloud. Rebecca endured it with her head high, though I saw the strain in the way she folded laundry and the way her hands shook when she thought no one was watching. The court visits were worse. Every appointment felt like walking into a room where the verdict had already been written. Still, we played our parts, learning how to share space without stepping on each other's pain. Somewhere between school drop-offs and late-night paperwork, something unexpected happened. Trust crept in quietly. Rebecca began to sleep through the night again. The kids laughed more, their fear loosening its grip inch by inch. And I found myself caring in ways I had sworn I never would again. Not the reckless kind of love that blinds you, but the steady kind that shows up every morning whether it feels good or not. The farm changed too. No longer a place I hid, but a place that held something alive. The real test came when the truth threatened to surface. A social worker visited unannounced, eyes sharp, questions precise. The air felt heavy as she inspected the house, the fridge, the bedrooms. I watched Rebecca's composure crack just enough to reveal how much she was risking. That night, guilt pressed on me harder than fear. This arrangement had started as a lie meant to protect children, but lies have a way of demanding payment. I realized that if this fell apart, it would not just be Rebecca and the kids who lost everything. I would lose them too, and that terrified me more than being alone ever had. Weeks passed, and the court date loomed closer. Rebecca carried the weight with quiet dignity, never asking for more than she had already been given. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the fields gold, I watched Noah teaching Grace how to skip stones in the creek, their laughter echoing across the land. In that moment, I understood that family is not always born from love stories or perfect beginnings. Sometimes it is forged in crisis, shaped by choice, and sustained by showing up when it would be easier to walk away. If this story is touching your heart even a little, if you feel that slow build of hope and fear the way I did, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. The day of the final hearing arrived wrapped in tension. Rebecca wore a simple dress, hands folded, eyes steady. I sat beside her, feeling the weight of every decision that had brought us there. The judge asked questions, reviewed reports, and studied the children, who sat quietly, their small hands gripping each other. When the ruling came, it felt unreal. Custody was granted. Stability had been proven. The children would stay. Relief crashed over us so hard it left me dizzy. Life did not suddenly become perfect after that. There were still bills, still memories that hurt, still days when fear whispered that happiness was temporary. But something fundamental had changed. We had crossed a line together, and on the other side was a life that felt earned rather than borrowed. Over time, the roles we had pretended to play began to resemble something real. We talked more, laughed easier, trusted deeper. Love did not arrive like a lightning strike. It grew slowly, like the fields outside our windows, patient and stubborn and real. Just before this story ends, I want to ask you something special. Please comment below and tell us whether you believe love can grow from responsibility and kindness, even when it begins as a desperate choice. In the end, the woman who needed a husband by tomorrow found something more lasting than a legal arrangement. She found a home, and the man who thought his heart was done beating for anyone else discovered that sometimes the bravest thing you can is open the door when someone knocks with nowhere else to go. If this story moved you, if it made you believe in unexpected grace, don't keep it to yourself. Engage with the video, share it, and stay with us for more stories that remind us how powerful quiet kindness can be.